All right, hello world. Welcome to Americana and happy Tuesday. I am your host, Willie Montague. This isn't the news they want you to hear. This isn't the script they hand you. This is the story behind the story. The deals, the silence, the truth they bury. If you're tired of the spin, you are in the right place. So stay tuned. This is Americana. Well, only here on Americana do you get hot topics that are trending today, and we're getting ready to talk about the government shutdown, immigration, and we're going to bring it all in with defunding the police and public safety. But to help us bring it home, we are joined later on with my good friend Laddie Calloway, who has no problem keeping it real. Lots coming up in this episode, but get your drum roll ready because it is now time for Willie's Take. All right, everyone, this is the time where I get to rant. It's time for you to burn the map. Forget the rules, forget the maps, forget what they told you is possible. Limits are lies, boundaries are illusions, fear is optional. You were not made to follow, you were made to lead, to break, to build, to dominate. The clock is ticking, the world won't wait, your move decides everything. Stop standing on the sideline. Stop hoping, start taking. No plan, no permission, just fire. And it's time to go forward. So I bring onto you today a very good guest, Laddie Calloway, who is a community advocate and a mentor as we get ready to dive into the hot topic of this government shutdown. Welcome to Americana.
What's going on, Willie? What's going on, people? How y'all doing?
What's going on? You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get into this. For those of you out there that do not know, September 30th is a possible government shutdown if there is not a deal to be made. And so, Mr. Calloway, we're going to have that discussion about the government shutdown. It's some things that the Democrats want. And if this does not go past and the government does shut down, 800,000 federal workers will face furlough. What are your thoughts about that? Because really, when you look at it, it is the Democrats holding us up. What do you think about that?
I think specifically, yeah, Democrats are holding us up. But I think we've gone through this process. And to be honest with you, it's stupid. I don't understand how apparently Christians on both sides, right and the left, continue to get in situations where we come to a deadline in which the government has to be locked down and employees potentially have to be out of work, out of their jobs, out of income, out of the ability to take care of their families. When to me, it should be something more simple than what's being portrayed. They should be able to come to the table and figure out how to compromise on both sides and not come so close to this deadline.
So why even risk this? We've had government shutdowns before, some longer than others, but why even risk such a shutdown over a health care provision? Because it's been, ever since Obama's administration, it's been about the health care, and now here it is over this provision because they want to. Is this about a power grab that the Democrats are trying to do? Why even risk the shutdown over that provision?
You can say power grab. I would say ego, pride. They want what they want. They want it specifically how they want it, and Republicans want what they want, and they want it specifically how they want it. And until, again, both sides let go of that ego, we're going to continue to have these debates. We're going to continue to have these issues and these potential shutdowns.
But when we had Obama in office, where was all of this outrage? Because now we're with President Trump, and I know people may not like him, but at the end of the day, there has been a lot of great things that have come out of this current administration. But now we're looking at holding federal workers hostage. And so, again, if the Democrats are saying they're for the people, they're for the everyday working class individual, why even allow this to go as far as it is? Because September 30th is around the corner.
I mean, so I can't speak for the actual lawmakers that are making these decisions, right? I can only speak of from a person on the outside that has their own view. And the difference between when Obama was in, obviously, and now is the fact that, of course, Obama was Democratic, right? And so, of course, his people aren't going to put up a fight about any issues. And to be honest, it's about power. Again, it's perspective as well. The Democrats believe that they're by holding back or by making this fight a fight, they're still defending the people. They're still defending the majority of Americans, and Republicans also feel the same way. They feel that no, do it our way. It's for the good of the people as well. And so again, right, it's just a power grab. And with the opposite people in office, the Republicans in office, of course, you're going to see the opposite party put up a fight.
So who's going to win? Because at the end of the day, it's like, we see the bickering and I've seen your social media. I've seen the different, things that happen even with my social media. And it just seems like we're at a tug of war of who's going to be, the greatest lion out there that's going to roar. But who's going to ultimately win out of this if the American people are not being served? Is it really about red versus blue? Is it Democrat versus Republican? Who's really the blame for what we're dealing with right now?
Well, we can't foresee the future, so it's hard to say who's going to win. I can tell you this: we're always going to have losers. There's always going to be somebody that's going to lose, whether that be certain people weren't benefited enough, but there's always going to be a loser. What I don't like is the fact that it has to always come down to blue or red, left or right, versus what's good for the country, what's good for the people, and let's just make a compromise. We may not get everything the Democrats want for the people, and we may not get everything the Republicans want for the people. How can we best serve the majority of the people in the best way? And that's what I hope for, and that's what I advocate for.
Well,
and so do Republicans.
Let's be honest, and I hear you saying that it's not that, some say it's the same bird, two different wings, but in all honesty, Republicans have been trying to bring compromise. And when the Republicans have been trying to bring compromise for the better of the American citizens, the Democrats then start, making it seem like, it's either racism or it's too radical or it's just Trump's agenda. So how do we move forward when it's, the orange man is bad? Is that just going to be the thing we're going to hear for the next 3 years? Orange man is bad?
I think so, yeah. And to be honest with you, I mean, I don't think the orange man or Trump is the best fit. But again, that does not play into the fact that if Republicans are compromising and the Democrats aren't, again, I'm not in these meetings when these lawmakers, but that just means, again, hold the Democrats accountable. If they're not the one compromising, or if they're asking for too much of a compromise, then rightfully so, call them out. And I would call them out. Like you say, you see me on my social media, often I'm targeting and going after political issues that we see in the news. And so, yeah, if there's not necessarily evidence, I don't want to necessarily put that burden of proof, but if that is the case, if Democrats are the ones that are still not compromising and just completely pushing back because they want 100% it their way, then that's a problem. And Democrats need to get their stuff together.
So real quick, before we get to go to commercial break, you said that Trump is not the best fit. Do you think the country would have been better with VP Harris? Because, I don't see any great outcome that would have taken place. I mean, they had 4 years of an opportunity to do something and they didn't. And then we have, Trump making a great leadway. So what did you say with that, about 35 seconds? What are we going to do? If we did have VP Harris?
Yeah, I think the country in whole, the entire country of the United States would have been in a better position. However, I don't think we would be in the best position because the last 4 years of the last 2 terms, it's been a different president with a different agenda, and so there's no really good way for any president to come in after the last 4 years of the opposite aisle and really make a change. And so if to somebody for more than just 4 years, then so be it. But I do think VP Harris would have been a better fit now than Trump.
Whew, okay, well, we definitely have to dive into that another time because, I definitely see opposite, but we have to take a quick commercial break. You guys out there, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're still going to have with us Mr. Laddie. When we get back, we're going to be talking about the immigration and borders. What is going on with the immigration and how do we actually fix it? Don't go anywhere. You're watching Americana. All right, out there. Hello, social media family. Thanks for staying with us during this commercial break. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms. And remember, you can catch us Monday through Friday at 6:30 p.m. on Comcast Xfinity, channel 1623. I have a quick question for you. Should we have open borders? This is something we're getting ready to have a conversation about, and I want you to put in your opinions, your comments, your concerns as we get back to the show. Thank you for joining Americana. All right, everybody, welcome back from commercial break. You are tuned in to Americana, and I am your host, Willie Montague. We're getting ready to have a discussion with Mr. Calloway as we talk about immigration, from Europe's migrant crisis to U.S. southern border into African migration waves. Immigration divides left versus right everywhere. So this is not just an American problem, but we know right in our backyard, we are having some issues. Do Democrats acknowledge that unchecked migration strains housing, jobs, and healthcare? Mr. Calloway, what are your thoughts about that? Because this is a continued conversation, and it seems like we never get to it, but we do have a problem with illegal aliens. And what do you think we need to do about it?
I don't think there's an answer. Again, I think that needs to be a conversation that needs to be often, and both sides again need to compromise. I don't agree with building this wall necessarily, and the way deportating is happening right now. I also think the process for non-Americans to come into this country and get citizenship should be not necessarily easier, but should be a smoother process for them, especially based on my religion. I just feel like we make it pretty difficult for people to get citizenship to come into the country.
So back to the point you said about not building the wall, not the way that we're deporting. What do you think we should do? I mean, these individuals, and I've said this before in several cases, but we need some way to protect the American citizens. Why leave? Do you think we should leave the border open and just let them walk in? Do you think that we should not deport people who illegally cross over here that are being, they're full of crime, they're full of drugs and bringing over things? It's not like they're all just peace gatherers. So what do you think about that? Like, how do we protect the ones who are citizens?
Well, so it kind of ties into another point you had on the agenda today. No, the border should not be wide open. And so a realistic way to help prevent people just walking into our country, walking through the borders, is absolutely funding the Border Patrol more, getting more officers on the Border Patrol, right? Recruiting more people to be Border Patrol agents and equipping them with more and better resources to do their job to prevent people from coming over illegally.
But real
As
fast,
far as
the Republicans did that. They put money and resources, and the Democrats actually said that, they made it like they were down at the border whipping, these immigrants from coming over. They made it seem like they would rat them up with horses and whips. And so, when we provide resources to the Border Patrol, because I've been to the border and I've seen them, I don't see abuse, but what I do see is the cartel and the abuse of these illegals that they're doing at the border. So if we put the funding there, what would be the difference with that funding versus not having the funding?
Well, all news outlets and opposite sides of the aisle are always going to come up with, oh, well, they're down there with horses whipping people. We can't pay attention to the noise. We got to focus on the facts, no matter which side the facts are on. We got to pay attention to the facts. And again, if money is being sent to fund border agents and the Border Patrol, and the numbers are showing that they're doing a good job of preventing people in it, then we have to provide that information, and we have to focus on that. We can't focus on just the crazy stories of what is going on to just create noise and create division. We have to focus on the good.
So you know that we are in trillions of dollars of debt. Do you think that what these global elites want to do, you and our tax dollars should continue to pay for what's going on with these illegals coming in? Because when you're talking about sending more resources, that means more money. We're already looking at a government shutdown looming, coming up September 30th. So where is this money going to come from? If we're already putting money there, we're already paying the bills. $10 million is spent in New York alone on illegals housing. So, when does it stop? Why should my tax dollars help to pay for these people? We need to just round them up and send them back.
Well, there are probably a lot of ways that we can figure out where the money is being spent that doesn't have to be spent. Again, if we have illegals that we're spending millions and millions of dollars on that are here illegally, surely we can look into those avenues and cut that money out and refocus that money into the Border Patrol and certain agencies that are doing well. But again, this is a complex conversation. This is a complex issue we have, right? Because again, you don't want to just snatch away money from people that you think are here illegally or whatever.
Hold on,
it's very complex.
I don't want to sound disrespectful, but is not thinking that they're illegal. They are illegal. Like, we're not snatching away money that they earn. This is our hard-earned money that they are using as a resource where some of the people in the United States can't even get baby formula. So it's not a guess. They are actually using our money, and they are illegals. That's what I'm trying to get to. Like, that's a fact.
Well, yeah. Well, again, we don't know the numbers, though. We don't know the specific numbers, and we don't know exactly where all that money is going. And so, again, it's complex, yes. And I don't agree 100% with illegals, specifically the ones that are here committing crimes. Our taxpaying dollars should not go to be funding them, whether it's housing, food stamps, healthcare. No, absolutely not. But there's a way to do it, and the way is to just not go round up every person that's here illegally, throw them in a camp, and then extradite them. So that's not the correct way to do it. In fact, we're probably spending doing that and snatching away illegals that are actually contributing to society. Not necessarily maybe paying taxes, but they're contributing. They're crop workers, they're landscapers, they're roofers, they're construction people. They're people that are contributing to building the infrastructure of America.
Okay, interesting take. I thank you for that. We're getting ready to switch gears a little bit, move on to the last segment of the day, defunding the police and public safety. I know y'all probably have seen this. I called the BLM the burn, loot, and murder. Cities that cut police funding saw a 17% increase in violent crime last year, while proponents argue it reallocates resources to social programs. Mr. Calloway, how is it that cutting the funding to protecting and safeguarding our neighborhoods is going to help with community programs?
That's a bad idea. I don't agree with that at all. at all. If anything, when it comes to funding, training, resources, etc., for law enforcement, we need to be amplifying it. Again, we need to fund them as well and get them with adequate resources and training. But in the same time, we got to figure out how to bridge the gap between them and the community. So what's happening is a lot of people in these communities are defund. Let's defund the police because they feel they're the victims of what law enforcement is doing to them and their communities. And so if we can figure out a way to bridge those relationships, then that's a good step. But absolutely, we need to fund them.
So is it that they are being targeted? Because I want to say this and as we get ready to wrap up, but we do have a high level of crime within black communities, and people don't really want to talk this because they make it seem like the black community is just always being a target. And I've said this boldly, that I don't walk out of my front porch and be like, oh gee, today I am part of a systemic racist issue out here in America. So why is it that we always take on this victim mentality in black communities? Why don't we go and start doing things and stop asking for it to be like we're the victim of our community?
Well, we are. That's documented. Black people are more likely to be stopped and harassed by law enforcement. That's just the way it's always been, and it's probably gonna be like it for a long time. However, I'm same as you. When I step out of my house, I don't feel like I'm gonna be victimized, and that's for many reasons. One is because I'm educated, right? I know that if law enforcement steps to me, I know how to respond now, versus being defensive and wanting to argue and fight and even resist. I know that they have a job to do, and that the information they have to stop me may not even be accurate. But before I allow it to escalate, let me first give them some time to figure out if I'm the correct person they need to be stopping, and whatever. And so I think a lot of times in our community, we're raised, black people, poor people are raised automatically when you see law enforcement, they're your opposite, right? They're your op is what we say. They're the ones with beef, and they're the ones who are trying to prevent you from doing and living how you want to live. And the reality is that's just not accurate either.
And that's true. And I would say that, and we got I give you about 30 more seconds. Where do we go from here as we do that? Because all I see is the black community just living in a place of victimhood. But 30 seconds, where do you think we need to go from here so that we don't be the victim?
Bridging the gap. Black leaders need to step up and begin to make relationships with law enforcement and invite law enforcement into these neighborhoods. And law enforcement, the same. They need to stop sitting back saying, no, if you guys don't request us on good terms to come in your neighborhood, we're not going to do it. No, officers and chiefs and sheriffs need to step up and say, we're going to do community events. We're going to build community relations with people in these communities.
All right.
Violent criminals and non-criminals.
Well, thank you, Mr. Laddie, for being with us today. Thank you, you guys out there. That's a wrap for today's episode of Americana. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow, the same place, same time, only on AFRO TV. Until then, you know what you need to do. Keep questioning, keep learning, and for God's sake, keep showing up. This is Americana. Y'all have a blessed night.